Hello and welcome to the Monroe Method Clancast. I am Jason Monroe and this is episode 136. Good morning. Let's talk about goal weights. Okay, this came up this week and it's a great topic to talk about. No idea if I've spoken about it before, but this will be, I probably have within episodes, maybe not topic specific. So this came up this week. Someone I'm working with, she's lost 3 stone. She's got about a stone and a half to go. This was the discussion. And we started talking about goal weights. We went through the check and everything's going great. Weight still moving, everything brilliant. Got to the bottom. Just want to ask, I'm getting quite close to the finish now. I'm probably a few months away. I just want to know, what do you think my goal weight should be? I do have an answer for this, but I don't give them numbers, right? I'll explain what a goal weight is shortly. But she's like, what do you think my goal weight should be? Like, should it be 9 stone, 9.5, 9.25? Your goal weight will not be found in a specific number, right? And it's my job when working with people to challenge this mindset because it's part of their yo-yo diet mindset. It's part of that numbers-orientated approach that they've always used in the past. When you make it about getting to a number, you're completely overlooking everything else. Think of it this way, right? People don't start their weight loss journeys because of a number. Like, you don't step on the scales and say, oh, that number's gone to 16 stone. That number's gone to 15 stone. That number's now at 19 stone. I need to lose weight. That's not why people start losing weight. People start losing weight because their clothes feel uncomfortable, because they're sluggish, they're tired, they're exhausted from climbing a set of stairs, they can't run around with their kids like they want to, they're uncomfortable, standing's uncomfortable, they're hot, they're sweaty, they're breathless walking up hills, they're the only one in the office sitting with this, came up this week as well. They're the only person in the fan who has to sit, in the fan. The only person in the office who has to sit with a fan, and they feel like it's a result of their weight. And they feel very singled out, not singled out, but they feel like they stand out because of it. These are the reasons that people lose weight. So, if these are your reasons for getting started, then why would a number be your reason for stopping? Make sense? So the discussion I had with this person was like, look, let's say it was 9 stone, right? And you stick with that. And many of you, I'm sure, can relate to this. The day that you step on the scales and see 9 stone, it will be one of the most anticlimactic, deflating experiences of your life. And here's why. Here's a comparison, actually. When I was studying nutrition, I remember I was sitting in my office. I'd converted my shed in the back garden into a room. I managed to start off doing a little bit of work, waiting on this email to come through with my results. Now, I knew that it went in alphabetical order. Monroe was going to take a while to get to. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and I got more and more pissed off, and squeaky gate. And eventually, the email came through. Hey, Jason. Congratulations. You have passed as an honours student. And there was a very brief moment of relief. But that was it. It was not some big dramatic thing. It was not some big woohoo, I'm a nutritionist now. Like, yeah, it was cool that I passed. But I did not become a nutritionist on the day that I got that email. I became a nutritionist during the months and months and year and whatever of study. You spend that entire time becoming the thing. Now, here's where we draw the similarity with a goal weight, right? And here's like the inner workings of my mind and the how I'm trying to teach people and coach them. When I work with people, it is about molding them into the mindset that they are not following a plan. They are not following a list of instructions. They don't have a tick list to get through every day. They're not just doing things to make their weight come down. If that is your approach, then you will fail. 100% guaranteed that will lead to failure. Failure being you will not keep the weight off, right? You'll reach whatever goal you want to be maybe, but you won't stay there because you've treated it as a thing that you are doing, like a means to an end. I'm going to eat like this for as long as it takes for me to get to that number. Awesome. Now what? What have you learned about how you need to eat to stay there? You know how to eat to lose weight. What have you learned about now maintaining? So the mindset that I try to instill in everyone I work with is your weight is where it is. And God, this is like the recurring message from everything, isn't it? And I know I repeat it quite a lot, but your weight is where it is because that is where you took it. That is where your habits, your behaviours, your mindset, the time that you go to bed, the amount of time you spend scrolling your phone, the snacking, the takeaways, the alcohol, everything that you wake up every day, every single choice you make took your weight to 16 stone. You were living like a 16 stone version of yourself. Therefore, your weight equated to that of a 16 stone person. And let's say that 16 stone person wants to get to 10 stone, right? You've got two options. You calculate the numbers, you follow the plan, and you make your weight go to 10 stone through force. I am going to make myself do this. I'm going to make myself stick to these calories so that my weight goes to 10 stone. And like I said, you will get there. Do it for long enough. You maintain a deficit for long enough, consistently enough. You can get to any number you want. No number is off limits. But you didn't take your weight to 16 stone by waking up every day and forcing it to go to 16 stone. It was just the way you were living your life. The no meal planning, you didn't do a food shop, ordered takeaways regularly, ate for convenience. Fruits and vegetables were not a part of your diet. You did no exercise, you looked for a seat at every opportunity because you were tired all the time. You stayed up late, scrolling past midnight, getting 5 hours of sleep, waking up shattered, repeating the cycle. Like that's, your lifestyle equates to your weight. Your weight is the sum value of the way that you live your life. Now, back to the thing. So the mindset that I try to give to my clients is, if you are 16 stone, right, we'll stick with the numbers, and you want to be 10 stone, then you need to start living like a 10 stone version of yourself. So think of it this way. If the way that you live your life has taken your weight to 16 stone with absolutely no direct effort, meaning you did not intentionally try to get to 16 stone, then if you were to live like a 10 stone version of yourself, then your weight would go to 10 stone with absolutely no effort. That's how it works. Your weight follows your life. And, if you want to find examples of this, most people who listen to this are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, right? If you want to find any examples of this, just look back. People talk about, when I was in my late teens and my 20s, I didn't worry about my weight. Yeah, but what were you doing back then? You didn't have a driver's license. You were out the house all the time. You didn't have a bank full of money in your late teens. You went out and all you could do was play or walk around the streets, or maybe you would have just enough to go and get a sweet from the shop. You were not able to eat to excess. You came home, your dinners were made for you. You didn't do any, you weren't in control of them. You were reminded to eat, just like I have to remind my kids. Are you hungry? Do you need a snack? Do you need a drink? Drink something, please. You've drank nothing all day. And you walked everywhere. Christ, how many miles did you walk in your late teens? How far did you have to walk to meet up with your school friends? To hang about. That's what I had to walk, not massive distances, but I walked quite a fair distance to get to a place where everybody hung around, which involved standing around the street, going to a park, running about, getting chased by police. We'll not talk about that. So of course you didn't have many troubles with your weight. Obviously there are people who did go through school and a very different experience, right? But when people are comparing back now to then, what about your early 20s? Did you have a driving license yet? And then this is what I mean about look back at your life. Look at the changes that occurred. So I hear this story all the time, right? I had no problems with my weight until I was 20. And I was at uni. And I was studying. And then I was going out with my friends. And then I passed my driving test. And then I didn't have to walk anywhere anymore. And my weight just started to go up and up because I was sitting down driving or sitting in a lecture or sitting studying or sitting in a pub. And because I didn't have much money, I was living on super noodles and toast. And that wasn't very filling, so I had to eat more of it. Your weight follows what's going on. And then later on in life, other people say, I had no troubles with my weight until I had kids. And people think this has got something to do with pregnancy. Oh yeah, as soon as I had kids, I just couldn't lose weight. It's like, yeah, because you've now got 2 kids who occupy 90% of your time. You've got no time left for yourself. That's why you struggle with your weight. Because you're not able to, your brain capacity, your mental bandwidth is mostly dedicated to these 2 small humans. There's very little left over for you. That's why you're struggling to lose weight. When you didn't have kids, you had 100% thinking power for you. Now that you do have kids, you've got about 15% thinking power left over for you. That's why it's a struggle. Not because pregnancy's done anything to make it more difficult to lose weight. Your life has changed drastically. That's why you're now heavier than you were before you had kids. So your weight follows your lifestyle, and you will go through many changes in life that will affect your weight. The big ones are marriage, or moving in with a partner, or getting into a long-term relationship. How many of you have been single and had no issues with your weight? Got with someone, you start going on more dates, you're going to the cinema, eating more sweets, going out for more meals. He's 6 foot tall. I don't know why that's a big deal. I see it all over Instagram. 6 foot's important for some reason, but unrelated to that. He's 6 foot. He's got a manual job. He's burning 3,500 calories a day, and his plates are bigger than yours. You gradually start to match his portion sizes. He finishes his plate and doesn't gain any weight. You finish your plate and your weight's starting to go up. Marriage, kids, moving house, changing jobs. Big, massive, life-changing, life disruptions to routine, things that can see your life start to change a little bit and your weight start to increase. I worked with someone who had absolutely zero issues with their weight until they bought an old house to start renovating. And the first thing they did was rip out the kitchen, and they were both doing it all themselves. And her weight was going up, and she couldn't understand it because she was so active. Like, I'm doing all this work, it's all manual labour. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have a kitchen, what are you eating? Well, we do get a lot of deliveries. Like, well, yeah. You're eating all this calorific food. Yes, and the thing is, because you're more active, because you're doing all this manual work, on top of working full time, your hunger levels are through the roof, but you're not responding to those hunger levels with food that satisfies hunger. You're ordering pizza. So you're combining a food that is not particularly long-term filling to try and resolve your hunger with it, and it's not working. We'll talk about that in another episode. That's an interesting one. So your weight goes wherever your life is. That's it. Your lifestyle dictates your weight, because your lifestyle dictates the way that you eat, the time that you eat, the type of foods that you eat, the quantities that you eat, the times that you go to sleep, how that impacts your hunger, the amount of time that you lose to scrolling your phone, if you drink alcohol, losing time to hangovers, the impacts of alcohol knocking into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all of that, right? So, your weight is exactly where it is supposed to be at any given time. It is not there by mistake, it's not there by accident. It didn't happen to you, You did it to yourself. That's a very strong statement, but it's not like you intentionally did it to yourself. It's your choices and actions led to it happening, right? It's an indirect did it. So the whole point of that ramble is to help people take on the responsibility of their weight, because you cannot change a thing if you don't think you're responsible for it. You know, if you think your weight's something that's out of your control, it's something that just happened, you just woke up one day and your weight was starting to go up, how are you supposed to change it if it wasn't you that did it? So it's supposed to be an empowering thing. It's not about shaming or blaming or any of that shit, because that doesn't help anyone. It's about understanding that, right, the way that I am choosing to live my life right now, choosing to go to bed at 11 o'clock, choosing to scroll TikTok videos for 2 hours, going to bed, going to sleep after midnight, dragging myself out of bed in the morning, in fact, scrolling TikTok again for an hour before I get up, then nothing's organised, I've not had time, allegedly, to prepare any food for work, I've not had time to do a food shop, I'll just have to grab something when I'm out. You know, a lot of you will recognise this, right? These are the reasons your weight is where it is. Like every single thing. People love to try and blame things. Oh, it's the takeaways. It's the crisps. Oh, I don't exercise. Yeah, those will be part of it. But absolutely everything that you do on a daily basis does something to your weight, whether that's a positive thing or a negative thing. It's your entire lifestyle. And it's not that the entire lifestyle needs an overhaul. It doesn't need an overhaul. It just needs a few changes. But anyway, coming back to the goal weight thing, right? The whole point of that explanation was that you did not take your weight to where it was by intentionally trying to get there. Your weight just followed you up to the place that you were living. And I want you to remember that, because that is what we do in the opposite direction. We want to get our weight to follow us down to the new place that we're living. And this is what I try to teach my clients. It's, if you want to be 10 stone, you need to live like a 10 stone version of yourself. Like, do this as an exercise. Write down, when people come into the Monroe Method and they start working through the course, we pretty much do this, right? So it's on day one, what are your food attachments? This is an exercise to do. Beyond breakfast, lunch and dinner, write down all of the things that you attach food to. For example, I eat every time I'm in the car. I eat because other people are eating. I eat because I'm offered food. I eat because I snack in front of the TV. I've attached food to the TV. I can't just have a glass of wine. I have to open the sharing bag of Walker's Sensations. I always have a 2-course meal. Like, I finish every meal with a dessert. I eat when I'm not hungry. I eat when I'm tired. I eat when I'm happy. I eat when I'm sad. Like, the list is endless. Like, people are not overweight just because of their breakfast, lunch and dinner. They are overweight because of all the additional eating that they do, all of the extra, all of the other stuff that was unnecessary, that your body didn't ask you for. All that stuff you did when you weren't hungry. Take care of that, and your weight will drop significantly, and then you can look at your meals and say, okay, what do I need to start doing here? Well, I need to start slowing down when I'm eating, not eating in front of the TV distracted. I need to stop clearing every plate because I've got this silly idea that I have to use myself as a food bin, because if food goes in the bin, that's awful. But if I eat the food and put on weight, that's a much better option. So do this, right? Whatever your goal weight is, write it down on a piece of paper. Let's say it's 10 stone. Okay, what things are you doing right now that are not going to help you get to 10 stone? And no, it's not eating crisps or eating chocolate. Remember, if you've listened to enough of these over the last while, I always talk about the scale at which we do things. Chocolate's not the problem. Crisps are not the problem. Eating the entire tub of Pringles, that's the problem. Eating the whole sharing bar of chocolate, that's the problem. Starting your day with chocolate and Pringles, that's a problem. Having them as a part of your day, as a part of a balanced diet, not a problem. So, 9 stone. Or 10 stone, sorry. What does 10 stone version of you do? Let's do it on me, right? So I used to be 15 stone. I am now like 11 something. I think in my head once upon a time I wanted to get to 10, but I did that. And I was super skinny. And it was very difficult to sustain because I had to give up too much of my life to stay there. Again, we'll talk about that when we get to go weights. Christ, this is a long one today, but let's try and get the rest of it in. So, yeah. What was 15 stone me doing? Well, I was eating takeaways 2 to 4 times a week. I was using food to relax. I was using it for stress. I was using it as a way to celebrate. I used to work 4 on, 4 off. I used to, day 4 was beer and takeaway time. Used to use it to celebrate the end of the working week for me. I drank beer. I ate beyond fullness. I ate in front of the TV. Always had some kind of dessert after dinner. Always cleared my plate. Ate very quickly. Didn't move very much. Do you know what's interesting? Like, a lot of people gain weight when they have kids, and I'm slightly different. When I had kids, that was my reason for taking better care of myself. I was 30 or 29. I'm 39, Jacob's 10. I would have been 30, right? My son came along and I was like, I need to sort myself out. I want to be a good role model for this kid. I don't want to see his dad being like this. That was when I started taking better care of myself. So my kids were my motivator. So what am I doing now that's different to back then? Now, I'm out walking 2 dogs right now. Fraser's only 4 years old, so I didn't have dogs when I lost the weight. I have them now, and it means I get active every morning. But I never used to have the doggos. But what am I doing now? I eat when I'm hungry. I stop eating when I start to feel full. I sit down at a dining table and eat every day. That's another thing that helped. It's no longer just me and my wife sitting in front of the TV, mind numb, watching something, just shoveling food into our mouths and not paying much attention. 4 of us sit down as a family at the dining table. Talk about the day, how was school, blah, blah, blah. That helps me slow down when I'm eating. It helps me recognise when I'm starting to feel full. I think that's one of the biggest things for me. I used to put massive portions on my plate and then clear every plate. Whereas now, I know that it takes far less food than that to fill me up, so my portion sizes naturally changed. And because I'm sat down, I'm engaging with the food. I'm paying attention to it. There's no TV on, there's no phones. I've slowed right down because that's my trigger. To sit at a dining table slows me down instead of sitting with your food in your lap, which is uncomfortable and awkward and you want it over quickly. So I think those are the biggest things that contributed to my weight loss, right? So for me, what are you going to be doing at 11 stone? Or what are you not going to be doing at 11 stone that you were doing at 15? Eating in front of the TV. Eating very quickly. Clearing every plate. Eating out of boredom. Doing laps of the kitchen looking for stuff to eat just because I've got nothing better to do. Cupboard, drawer, fridge. Autopilot. So it's very similar for you, right? What are the things that you're doing right now that are not going to help you get to 10 stone, if we stick with that example, right? What are you doing at 16 stone that you cannot be doing at 10 stone, otherwise you're never going to get there? That's your pathway to weight loss. Yes, you can count the calories and you can follow the plan and you can do all the stuff, like you can make sure your weight's coming down, but you have to work on that stuff while you're losing weight. You have to come out the other side of the weight loss process as the new version of yourself. I've worked with multiple people over the years. Andy Duncan lost, I can't remember, 5 stone, 6 stone, a few years ago now. And the thing that I kept saying to him, so he got he worked with me, this is why he sticks in my mind so much. He worked with me for exactly 12 months. He did his first check-in June the something, and he checked in on June the something and said, I thought this would be a good day to bring my Monroe time to an end. Today it marks exactly 12 months since I got started. I've lost 5 stone or 6 stone. And during that process, once we got like 6 months through, I said to him, Andy, you are already the future version of yourself. So in the first 6 months, he had already resolved all of the reasons that he was overweight. We had chatted about them, we'd resolved them, there was nothing to talk about. Because after that 6 months, every check-in was just a formality. He was checking in, he was having no issues, weight was falling off, everything was ticking over nicely. And then for the latter half of his time with me, that's all it was. He didn't want to cancel and go it alone, he wanted to stay, he wanted to make sure that everything was fine, he wanted to keep getting the feedback and keep having the light bulb moments. He wanted to go all the way to the finish line, so I worked with him for 12 months. He lost a life-changing amount of weight. He worked offshore, he was struggling to pass his medicals, he was struggling to pass the safety courses, to climb out of the helicopter that was submerged in the sea and pull himself into a lifeboat. Like, that was all his big motivators. And he had also recently had a son, he's had a second kid since. And now he lives life at his goal weight. I've got him as a friend on Facebook. He's still where he was when we stopped working together. And it's because he did not try to get to a number. He knew the things that were the problem because we identified them. We worked on them. We resolved almost all of them. And that meant that he was no longer, I can't remember, I think he might have been about 18 stone. 18 or 19 stone in the beginning. He was no longer living like that version of himself. He was living like the current version of him. So he got to a transition point where he started off tracking the calories, monitoring the macros, balancing his diet. And there's like a transition point somewhere in there where it's like, it's no longer about following the numbers to make the weight come down. It's, I'm just living like the goal version of me, and my weight's just following me down. That's the point that I want everyone to get to. Because that's the point of success. Remember, success being losing weight and keeping it off, not losing weight and immediately starting to put it back on again. That to me is a failure. You know, just getting to a number on a scale does not equal success. It's not even, your journey's only beginning. You want to get to the number, cool. Now you need to know how to stay there. That's the true start point of a weight loss journey for me. So back to goal weights before I wrap this up. What should your goal weight be? Your goal weight will not be found in a number. It will be found in a feeling. Don't get too wrapped up in that I'm trying to get to 9 stone, I'm trying to get to 8 stone, whatever the number is. Don't get too wrapped up in that. Because like I touched on earlier, you did not start your weight loss journey because of a number, and you should not end your weight loss journey because of a number. And it can be difficult, especially if you've got a lot of weight to lose and it's going to take you 12, 18, 24 months. It can sometimes be difficult to think back to what things were like. And this is one of the reasons that on day 2 of working with me, I get people to do a mind map. I mentioned this a lot. They write weight loss in the middle of a bit of paper and they branch out from it. Here are all the things that weight loss is going to give me. Better mood, more confident, breathing easier, sleeping better, better mobility, being able to keep up with the kids. I get them to do that because it's something to look back on to remind them why they got started. Because the more distance you put between current you and old you, it can start to feel like the journey is less urgent. Like, you know, if one of your reasons for getting started is because you felt sweaty and breathless and uncomfortable all the time, and you start to feel you're no longer feeling sweaty, breathless or uncomfortable, then that's when your motivation can start to waver. Like, well, you know, those reasons that I got started are not really there anymore. So the more distance you put between that and you, the harder it can be to kind of carry on. But the whole point is that you're not you're trying to become a version of you that no longer feels uncomfortable, or your clothes aren't fitting or whatever. So what should your goal weight be? Having a number is a great idea to know kind of how far you want to go or thereabouts. Because your number usually comes from the past. I remember when I was this, I felt quite good. But your real goal weight will be found where you feel comfortable, where you feel happy, where you like what you see in your clothes are fitting better, you're less out of breath, you've got better mobility, all that stuff. If you've achieved all of that, and if you've undone all the reasons for getting started, then you've already reached your goal weight, regardless of what the number is. If you are happy, if your clothes fit great, if you've got if you've brought a whole wardrobe out of retirement, if you can put a bikini on holiday and you don't feel self-conscious, if you're able to keep up with your kids, if your sleep's great, if your digestion's great, if you're waking up feeling good in the morning, if you've got more energy throughout the day, you've got less food noise, your diet's well balanced, you're no longer hungry all the time. Like, if you've resolved all of that shit, like if you've resolved all the reasons why you gained weight in the first place, and you feel good, then who fucking cares if your weight's 10 stone when you wanted to get to 9? What does it matter? And here's, I'll leave you with this before I wrap this up, right? Here is a great question to ask yourself when you get very close to a number. Let's say you've made it to 9.5 stone, but you wanted to get to 9, but you feel pretty good. So here is a question to ask yourself. What is another half stone going to give me that I don't have right now? That's the question that will make you go, well, nothing. You've already lost 2, 3, 4 stones. You feel great, you feel amazing, you're happy, but it wasn't 9. It's not 9 stone, it's 9.5. So you ask the question, what will another 7 pounds give me that I don't have right now? Your answer will almost always be, well, it's going to help me get to 9 stone. I wanted to end on a nice round number. That was the number I had in my head. If that's the only thing it's going to give you, then you don't need to go there. It's time to stop. It's time to come up to maintenance. And it is time for you to enjoy your new body, your new health, and start the hard work. If you thought the weight loss part was hard, weight maintenance, remember, you didn't. People don't gain weight because of weight loss. People gain weight because they don't know how to maintain. Your journey's only just beginning. When people are gaining weight, it's not because they're not spending time losing weight. It's because they don't know how to maintain. The journey's just beginning. So don't make the mistake of thinking that it's all over. Once you reach where you want to get to, you've got a new thing to do now. Let's say you've spent the last 10 months losing weight. That is a long time to build weight loss habits. Remember, once you've reached the weight you want to be, you still have a weight loss mindset. You still have weight loss habits. You still have a weight loss diet. You're still doing weight loss food shops from the supermarket. If you're working with me, they're not going to be massively different because you're going to continue eating the same. Like, the number one thing is balance, right? So the balanced diet has to continue. You have to still eat enough protein. You still have to eat enough fruits and vegetables, enough fibre. But you will have a lot more freedom. You'll be able to relax more because we're no longer under restriction. We're not trying to lose weight. We don't need to be in a deficit. So we can come up to maintenance calories. We can bring some foods back. We can bring some higher fat foods back. We can eat a little bit more peanut butter or bring more whatever your thing is back into your diet. But the real journey starts there, right? Learning how to maintain your new body. And hopefully, that you have done the right work during the weight loss process so that part is not difficult. It will be difficult if you're someone who's, I'm just going to follow this diet until I get to 10 stone, then I'm going to stop. You are fucked, basically. There's no point sugarcoating it because I'm so sick and tired of seeing people do that for decades of their life and wasting their life. You will be absolutely fucked if that's what you do with your weight. Because you will get to the number, you will stop the diet because your diet was restrictive and you didn't really want to eat like that for the rest of your life, and you will go back to normal and your weight will go back to normal. And 12 months later, you will put yourself through the same cycle and you will pay the same money to the same companies to lose the same weight you lost with them last time. And that just upsets me about the yo-yo diet world. People being manipulated and abused, basically, by companies who want to milk you like a cow. You know, no, farmers don't breed cows and milk them once and never milk them again. They milk them over and over again. And that's what the weight loss industry does. It does not want to help you once and never have to help you again. I do. But I don't consider myself part of the diet industry. So, yeah, anyway. Please don't just lose the weight. Lose the reasons your weight got to where it was. So that when you do get to your goal, you will have a great foundation to stay there. It will not be a panic or a scramble. You won't not know what to do. You will have already built most of what you need to successfully maintain your weight. Anyway, that's enough from me. That was a long episode, but I feel like it was a very good one. I'm going to promote this one, I think. I might even mention it in social media, which I don't do often. One last thing, if you've made it this far, I should have said this in the beginning. Could you please rate this podcast, if you don't mind? Spotify, I think I'm up to like 83 or 87 5-star ratings, which is pretty cool. Let's see if we can get that to 100. Until next time.